This is the morning of the 31st of October. Clip put up by Spill T Vibe. Title: Joe Rogan and Candace Owens drop new evidence against Charlie Kirk's widow. The truth is out. Plays for 20 minutes. Let's have a listen.
Here's what I want to say, and I honestly understand I'm preaching to the choir. Everything about this is wrong. You know it, and I know it. I actually know it better than most because I helped build that organization, and that's why I am almost the perfect person to discern what is normal and what is abnormal in terms of, and I want to be clear, we're not here to make assumptions, okay? And we wouldn't have to make any assumptions if Turning Point USA could just...
Tonight's story isn't rumor, it's testimony from the inside. According to a whistleblower from within TPUSA, Erika Kirk had already begun assuming CEO duties before her husband's death, making executive calls, issuing orders, and sidelining the man who...
But I was so clearly deluded in the immediate aftermath of his death that I was operating under this function. I mean, I truly believed that I would be fighting for answers to what actually happened on 9/10 alongside Charlie's...
The biggest voices in conservative media just ripped open a secret that was never supposed to see daylight. Joe Rogan and Candace Owens, two powerhouses who almost never stand on the same side, are suddenly united by one explosive revelation. And at the heart of this chaos, Charlie Kirk's widow. Since the night of Charlie's shocking death, the internet's been drowning in rumors, louder, wilder, more dangerous with every post. But the moment Rogan and Owens began to speak, the entire narrative started to crumble. Because what they uncovered doesn't just challenge the story.
The point that I'm making here is that I had assumed, clearly wrongly, that we'd all maybe be on a group chat communicating, raising hell and demanding answers from the feds, from the police, from the White House even. Certainly, at the very least, pointing out the very many holes in this story. And if any one of us had the audacity or the desire to carry on Charlie Kirk's show, that would be the appropriate venue for asking those sorts of questions. But no, I was wrong. Silence. Silence is what we were met with. In fact, I am told that these people believe the official narrative.
They weren't just asking questions. They were connecting dots no one else dared to touch. From secret meetings to cryptic live streams and whispers of betrayal from inside the movement itself.
Tonight's story isn't rumor, it's testimony from the inside. According to a whistleblower from within TPUSA, Erika Kirk had already begun assuming CEO duties before her husband's death, making executive calls, issuing orders, and sidelining the man who built the blink to TPUSA staff. It started quietly. Subtle shifts behind the scenes. Meeting invites that didn't include him. Staff answering to somebody new. A name showing up on documents it shouldn't have. Before anyone realized what was happening, Erika Kirk was already giving the orders, acting as CEO while her husband was still alive. The tone inside the organization changed overnight. People noticed. They just didn't understand what they were seeing yet. Then came the Utah event. Security was reshuffled, regular staff pushed aside. New faces brought in at the last minute. People nobody recognized, who didn't seem to answer to anyone. And a stand-down order was given from within Turning Point USA. Charlie's security was ordered not to cooperate with local law enforcement. An order that whistleblowers are saying came from Eric.
This story isn't just about tragedy. It's about what happens when raw truth slams straight into power. And here's the detail that's making people lose their minds. Owens and Rogan are both saying the official version of how Charlie died is full of holes, and none of it lines up.
Look at this face. As of the recording of this video, we're only 16 days out from a supposedly brutal, horrific assassination of the love of her life, of the father of her two children. And she's acting like it kind of didn't happen. Are we going to hear about the Romanian Angels situation? Are we going to hear her address what some people are saying that she's been banned from Romania for certain thing that people are accusing her of. 16 days out. I would expect this maybe from somebody 16 months out. But I have grandparents, and I know people, and you probably do too, that still mourn the loss of a loved one who wasn't taken during a horrific assassination or some kind of unexpected accident. Something where maybe a loved one was struggling with cancer for a couple of years, going through chemotherapy, and the doctor's like, well, get your things in order because so-and-so only has 6 months or 12 months. And even after that, you don't recover like this. Even after preparing yourself 16 days out from the actual demise of the individual that you say you love, am I tripping? Or is this as bizarre to you as it?
The timing, the people around him, even the reactions afterward. But what exactly are they implying?
Something that's actually factually inaccurate,
right,
according to the narrative. Now, let's be real clear. I don't necessarily think they know what's going on yet. There's a lot of weird going on with Worley.
And why is Charlie Kirk's widow suddenly caught in the middle of it all? Because according to insiders, what happened behind closed doors could turn everything we thought we knew about Charlie Kirk completely upside down.
I told you that I had a source who was actually on the ground the day that Charlie was shot, somebody who was in law enforcement. I remember my source telling me something about how they were trying to keep everybody very tight-lipped. And so I went back through our messages and I found this. So on September 27th, my source said, I can't talk about it yet. Admin is on high alert about leaks. Blank advised anyone leaking information about this case would receive heavy reprimand. And I said, I'm convinced this was a hit, dude. This Tyler Patsy thing stinks to high heaven. So everyone is being very tight-lipped. Oh, for sure, bro. Once I got on scene, I could tell something was very wrong. And I was thinking about our conversation. I was thinking about a couple of other things he was talking about. And I remembered that one of the things he was also talking about was the fact that he verified with UVU officers at UVU campus, that Charlie's team wouldn't coordinate with them regarding security, which I thought was really weird. Now, I don't know the exact protocol with this. I don't know if this is a normal thing. Is it not weird that the guest security wouldn't coordinate with the officers on campus?
But that was only the opening move. Before the lights went out, Charlie Kirk wasn't just another talking head. He was the symbol of a movement. The mastermind behind Turning Point USA, the man who turned campus debates into national showdowns. You didn't have to love him, but you couldn't ignore him. Charlie had reach and enemies, the kind who don't argue, they eliminate. And through it all stood Erika Kirk, the flawless partner. Calm, loyal, polished to perfection, always glowing beside him under stage lights. But when Charlie vanished overnight, that perfect image shattered. Within hours, Erika went live, her hands trembling, her voice steady, thanking first responders and vowing that Charlie's mission would live on. The internet didn't buy it. Viewers called her too calm. Critics said every word sounded rehearsed. And that's when the whispers started. Maybe she wasn't breaking down, because she already knew.
Because I really want to see how she pulls this off. She is a horrible actress. We saw this immediately after his assassination. Do you remember when she recorded herself? She videotaped herself stroking the hands of her dead husband while he's lying in the casket. It was some creepy ass shit. Then we saw that cult rally that was supposed to be a memorial for her husband. They held it at a fucking stadium with fireworks. No family, no lifelong friends spoke at this thing. Just politicians and friggin' political hacks. And then she gets up there and says, "And the man who murdered my husband, I forgive him." Remember that? Not a fucking tear anywhere in sight. It was the worst acting I think I had ever seen in my life. So you're damn right I'm going to be watching this.
Some said she was just grieving, frozen in shock. But then, something no one expected happened. She disappeared. No interviews, no statements, no public tears, just silence. Weeks went by. Then, without warning, she resurfaced, but not at a vigil, not at a tribute. It was behind closed doors. A secret meeting with Turning Point's top brass. And that's when the whispers began to spiral. Talk of missing funds, quiet power moves, and a brewing war over who would seize control of the empire Charlie built, and who was willing to bury him to claim it.
And I want to be clear, we're not here to make assumptions, okay? And we wouldn't have to make any assumptions if Turning Point USA could just tell the truth. They could just be open, and they could be honest about everything, okay? I obviously went out to both Mikey McCoy and Andrew Colbert for a statement, asked those two questions. Hey, who were you on the phone with? What's going on here? No response. Weird. Because if that was me, and I saw clips going viral, and people were drawing conclusions from that clip, thinking that I was already on the phone, thinking that my reaction was weird, I would instantly hit back. I'd say, here's my call log. You want to know who I was on the phone with? 911, obviously. I was freaking out. I called 911. I didn't know what I was doing. Here's my phone. Here's my whole call log for that day. But this is, I don't know. I guess we live in a world where that doesn't make sense. I would have issued a statement to dispel any rumors, but they have not. Here's what I want to say, and I honestly understand I'm preaching to the choir here. Everything about this is wrong. You know it, and I know it. I actually know it better than most because I helped build that organization, and that's why I am almost the perfect person to discern what is normal and what is abnormal in terms of what happened at that college campus event. In fact, when I did my tribute to Charlie, this is unbelievable. Remember, just after he died, I posted a video to my friend Charlie Kirk, and I shared a clip of him at a college event, and he and I were laughing, and I'm going to show you that clip in a second, and I said, I don't even know which college this is when I showed the clip, because I didn't know what college it was, and unbelievably, it was UVU. I kid you not, let's rewatch.
People began to wonder, was Erika grieving or calculating? That's when Candace Owens dropped the bomb that turned a sad story into a full-blown conspiracy. According to her, Charlie's enemies weren't just out there in the world, they were sitting right next to him. Candace has never been the type to bite her tongue, and the moment she stepped into the Charlie Kirk story, everything detonated. She and Charlie went way back, co-founders, allies, climbing the same political ladder. For years, she called him her brother in arms. But after his death, that bond started to look like a battlefield. In a now viral live stream, Candace didn't hold back. She revealed that in the weeks leading up to his death, Charlie was under suffocating pressure, not from the media, not from opponents, but from the very people he trusted most. Her voice shook the internet. He was changing. He started asking questions they didn't want asked. She didn't name names. She didn't have to. Everyone knew exactly who she meant, Turning Point insiders, top donors, and even members of Charlie's private circle. The rumors exploded overnight. Some swore Charlie was planning to walk away from his empire. Others whispered he had files, evidence, that could destroy reputations and end careers. But Candace went further. She claimed Charlie had been warned. Someone close to him told him days before it happened, "They're coming for you." A warning he apparently ignored. And when people asked who that person was, Candace just smirked and said, "Let's just say she was closer than you think." That one line changed everything. Because now the internet wasn't just talking about Charlie Kirk's death. They were talking about his widow. And when Joe Rogan caught wind of this story, he took things even further. Because what Rogan said next made even. Candace pause. When Joe Rogan talks, millions listen. And when he decided to weigh in on the Charlie Kirk story, it wasn't just another podcast episode. It was gasoline on a wildfire. Rogan started by saying what everyone else was afraid to. Something about this doesn't sit right. He questioned the timeline, the missing footage from the event, and the eerie silence from those who were supposedly closest to Charlie. But what really sent chills down people's spines was what Rogan said next. He mentioned a pattern. High-profile figures who start asking the wrong questions. And then suddenly something happens. Rogan didn't accuse anyone outright, but he dropped enough breadcrumbs to keep Reddit and X in chaos for weeks. And then he brought up Erika Kirk. Calmly, carefully. "I'm not saying she's involved," Rogan said. But her behavior after the fact, it's weird. That one line was all it took. Within hours, clips of the podcast flooded every social platform. Millions of views, tens of thousands of comments, people picking apart every frame of Erika's live stream, her body language, even her word choice. Then Candace reposted the clip with one word. Exactly. From that moment on, the story wasn't about what happened to Charlie Kirk. It was about what might have been happening around him. And as theories spread like wildfire, people started uncovering details no one expected to find. Because what surfaced next made everything 10 times darker and way more personal. Once Rogan's clip went viral, the internet went into detective mode. Threads popped up overnight. People claiming to have screenshots, deleted posts, even insider messages. Most were nonsense, but a few didn't feel so fake. One Reddit post in particular blew up an alleged text from Charlie's assistant saying he'd been warned not to go to that campus event. Another claimed there were missing messages between Charlie and Erika just hours before his death. No proof, but that didn't matter. The story had already taken on a life of its own. Then came the threats. Influencers who spoke about the case started getting strange calls. Candace said her phone was pinged by unknown numbers. Rogan mentioned on air that a friend in law enforcement told him to drop it. Even fans began noticing how quickly posts about Erika Kirk were vanishing from social media. And through it all, Erika stayed silent. No interviews, no statements, no public appearances, just quiet, calculated distance. Her last post, a single black heart emoji, only made things worse. Was it grief or guilt? No one could agree, but something else was happening behind the scenes. Turning Point insiders were splitting. Some defended her fiercely. Others started leaking documents that hinted Charlie was planning to step away from the organization. If true, it meant one thing. Someone stood to lose everything. And that's when people began to ask the question that would change the tone of this entire story. Was Charlie Kirk's death really random? Or was it convenient? But even that wasn't the end, because Erika's next move shocked everyone. So just when everyone thought this whole thing was fading out, Erika Kirk came back, and honestly, it was the last thing anyone expected. No press, release, no PR team, no fancy interview. Out of nowhere, she drops this video title for the record. No intro music, no edits, just her, a camera, and that cold, calm stare that made everyone stop scrolling. And the second she started talking, people felt it. It wasn't a widow crying, it was a woman taking control. She called out the grifter media, threw shade at Candace Owens without even saying her name, and basically said, "You're all cashing in on my husband's death." But that wasn't even the wild part. Mid-video, she announces she's taking full control of Turning Point USA, the company her husband built. Just like that, continuing his mission, she said, "But let's be honest, it looked like a power move." The internet exploded. Half the comments were like queen behavior, and the other half were pure rage. So this is about power, not grief. And that ending blow. She looks dead into the camera and says Charlie always said the truth will reveal itself. And when it does, I'll be ready. Then boom, video ends. No outro, no fade, just silence. That clip hit 1 million views in less than a day. Candace went live the next morning saying Erika's message felt too rehearsed. Rogan said it didn't sound like grief. It sounded like PR. Now, the question everyone's asking isn't what happened to Charlie Kirk. It's what's about to happen next. Because if Erika's really ready, like she said, ready for what? And that, my friend, is where things get scary. So now we're here. The part nobody can stop talking about. Joe Rogan's asking questions. Candace Owens is dropping bombs, and Erika Kirk just flipped the entire narrative on its head. Everyone's got a version of the truth. But the deeper you look, the murkier it gets. Because let's be real, if Charlie Kirk really was planning to walk away from Turning Point, that changes everything. The money, the control, the legacy, and Erika stepping in right after. That's not just continuing his mission. That's rewriting it. People online are split right down the middle. Half say she's protecting what Charlie built. The other half swear she's protecting herself. And honestly, nobody can tell the difference anymore. Every clip, every screenshot, every theory just adds more smoke to an already burning fire. Meanwhile, Rogan and Owens haven't backed down. If anything, they've doubled down. Rogan's teasing new info from the source close to the case. And Candace, well, she's promising proof, which if you know her, means this story isn't going away anytime soon. So maybe Erika's right. Maybe the truth will reveal itself. But the real question is, when it does, who's going to survive it? Because in this story, nobody looks innocent. Not the media, not the insiders, and maybe not even the widow.
Tyler Robinson is just an absolute patsy. I just don't understand his motivation for claiming that he was the shooter. And Erika Kirk, Black Widow. That's just sort of what I think. Is she involved with J.D. Vance? Wouldn't surprise me, but it'll sure piss off his true lover. Thing's insane. You think not? Well, you're free to think whatever you like. I do. Pass it along, and thanks for listening.